Okay, so we talked about the introduction, what a cloud computing is, and as a cloud architect, what are all the high-level concepts that you need to be familiar with, right? So now let's talk about AWS itself. So before we talk about any of the services in AWS, we need to understand this most important aspect of it called global infrastructure. So what this one is, AWS guys, like a lot of other public cloud providers too, but these guys have set the example for everyone else to follow, really. So in the entire world, they divided the world into multiple regions, geographical regions. So let's say in the United States, they called it US East, US West. Makes sense, right? So within US East, they divided into a couple of regions, US East 1, US East 2. That's what they called it. In the Virginia area, they called it US East 1. And the Ohio region, Ohio area, they called it US East 2. Again, in the West Coast, West side, you have Oregon data center. And then you have Northern California. So, sorry, let me not talk about the data centers yet, but they divided this world into multiple geographical region. So Singapore, Asia Pacific, and you have Europe. Now, Europe, they're broken down into a couple of regions, right? So in each geographical region, they built the data centers. And each one of them, they call it availability zone. Availability zone is not a single, it's not a single data center, but one logical data center. There could be, under the hood, there could be multiple physical data centers, but we should treat it as a single logical data center. So there is a concept of region. We need to understand this concept of region. A region is nothing but a cluster of data centers. So all those data centers will be sitting in that region. Let's say in Ohio. In Ohio is a region. Within the region, you have 3 data centers, 3 logical data centers. And we don't care about how many data centers in each logical data center. We don't have to worry about it, okay? So the concept here is that one data center may be in Cleveland, the other one may be in Cincinnati area. So one of them in Columbus region. So the way they divided this is each one of the data center is about 100 kilometers apart, so that natural calamities in one area will not affect the others. So natural calamities in one area will not affect the others. So if there is a power cut in Columbus, Ohio, it's most likely that you will have a power in the nearby area, right, within 100 kilometers. So that's how they distributed that within the region. So let's say in Northern Virginia, you have 5 data centers. And each data center is called an availability zone. So from here onwards, from this minute onwards, I will not use the term data center anymore. I will use the term availability zone. In short term, I use AZ. So AZ is within a region. AZ is a data center within a region. So availability zone is again one or more data centers with redundant power, one or more, but we don't care about how many underneath it. For us, we treat them as one. So with redundant power, networking and connectivity within an AWS region. So all AZs in an AWS region are interconnected with high bandwidth, low latency networking. So there are five availability zones in Northern Virginia, 3 availability zones in Ohio. Those are all interconnected using the high bandwidth and low latency networking, but they are separated enough. All AZs in a region are far enough so that they are isolated and protected from natural calamities. That's the idea. They are far enough, about 100 kilometers apart, but they're all interconnected using Amazon's own networking facility. So moving the data between these data centers is pretty fast. Because they have their own low latency network. They have their own backbone internet. So they have their own fiber optic line among them. And okay, see, they ran the fiber optic lines pretty much all over here, or they're utilizing the fiber optic lines that are already existing. And most of the places they have their own backbone internet. So that's why, so when you transfer from this region into this region, it's utilizing their own backbone. It's not going in the public internet. I wanted to understand that because it's a very low latency network among them. So the cluster of data centers in each region. So they divided globe into multiple regions. These are examples. You have US East Northern Virginia, you have Ohio, you have Northern California and Oregon. So from here onwards, so if you're trying to provision a virtual machine, obviously the first question is, where do I need this virtual machine to be? The first question is what region it is in. The next question is, okay, within a region, I have multiple availability zones. I have multiple data centers here. In what availability zones should I provision this in? So the reason they call it availability here, you may be wondering, why is this availability within AZ? Why didn't they call it data center? We will talk about that later. There are some good architectural principles I will teach you throughout this. Especially cloud architecture is different, right? So you have to be prepared for the natural calamities, power outages, and you have to be prepared for the errors. Maybe one data center could be down. So what happens in that case? Let's say you need 3 web servers. You need 3 web servers to run your website smoothly at all the time. Then you don't want to put all the 3 web servers in a single availability zone. You want to distribute them across availability zones. So that if one availability zone is down, at least you have 2 more. But you said you need 3 to be able to run it smoothly all the time. Then okay, then don't provision 3. Maybe you need to provision. Think about it now. How many data centers can go down? Or what's your non-functional requirement? What should you be prepared? Even if 2 availability zones are down, I want my website to be running smoothly. Then how many servers do you have to provision? You need 3 web servers to provision to run your website smoothly. Then think about it. How many availability zones are there? How do you distribute it? So being an architect, you have to think like that. And the next question is, what region should I choose? Northern Virginia is the oldest region. That's where Amazon has started, somewhere in Ashburn, Virginia area. So what region you want to select? Okay, the question that you wanted to ask is, where are your users? Are they distributed across the globe? Then we'll have to talk, different things. At least if you say that most of my customers, most of my customers are in Midwest area, then go with Ohio. If you say that most of my customers are in East Coast, go with Northern Virginia. Most of my customer in California then go for Northern California region. So that's how you want to decide, because you want your servers to be as closely possible to your end customers so that you will have a less latency. So from here onwards, we will be using this terminology, region and availability zone. Now, our objective is, I want to spin up a new machine. I want to spin up a new virtual machine. We just talked about the difference between physical and virtual machine. Probably I'll cover again. Go ahead.
Sorry to break you. So here you are using certain terminology like redundant power, right? So I can understand everything else like networking, connectivity, low latency, as well as high bandwidth. When you say redundant power, I missed that point. You might.
Redundant power meaning it's even if you have a power outage, to that particular data center or to that particular availability zone, they have generators. That's what it means.
Okay.
That's all it is. Redundant power and redundant networking, meaning they have let's say they have a fiber optic line. So let's say they have a leased line with Verizon, for example. Okay. The underground infrastructure is provided by Verizon, let's say. So they don't want to rely on what happens if Verizon, some system is down. So they don't rely on that. Rather, they want to be redundant there. So they will have one line with Verizon, they will have another line with AT&T. So that if one of them is down, they don't lose the internet connectivity there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So you always want to have a redundancy there, right? When you're building that big data center.
And in the map that you have shown, all the blue lines are kind of fiber. I mean,
the fiber optic. The fiber optic line. So there is a website that they built, AWS Global Infrastructure. There is a website out there called infrastructure.aws. Please go there, infrastructure.aws. That's interesting top level domain. Take a look at this one here. I highly recommend you do that. You look, they depicted nicely their whole fiber optic line and how the complete, see this one? So this is a London, Frankfurt, where is our, see this one? This is our Northern Virginia region. This is our Northern Virginia. And by the way, they have this is Northern Virginia region. This is a Ohio region. And then, by the way, they have another region exclusively for government cloud. Okay. So within this government cloud, they have 3 availability zones. This exclusion, this is only for, let's say, Pentagon, right? So if Pentagon is deploying any of their stuff, I'm sure they obviously wanted their own region, and they don't want their code or data to be sitting alongside with ours, right? So that's why they built this government cloud with the complete restriction. Their compliance sign off is different. Their certifications are different, compliance certifications. Okay. So within region, you have availability zones. Make sense? So go take a look at it. Infrastructure.aws is the website.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyways, now with that said, we will use the term region and availability zone. So let's step back and spend a couple more minutes on this whole physical machine and virtual machine. And then what we will do is, let's go provision a virtual machine in our favorite region. So you can do it wherever you are close, wherever you are, whatever the region that's closest to you. So for me, Ohio is the closest. So Ohio will be my default region. I want to provision my virtual machine in Ohio. So before we do that, let's spend a couple of minutes here. So we talked about physical machine. Physical machine, you have a hardware. On top of it, you have an operating system like Linux, Windows, and all. Within that, you have these multiple applications. This could be your Apache. This could be your Tomcat. This could be your Oracle database, MySQL, or Word, Microsoft, right? Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, etc. All the apps. So in the when I virtualize it, a simple, let's say my 4-core CPU hardware, physically I have 4 cores, and I have a host OS, let's say Linux operating system, or even Windows, not a big deal. And then you install a hypervisor on top of it. You have a VMware hypervisor out there, and you have your Oracle VirtualBox out there. So a lot of people are familiar with it. A lot of Mac people are already familiar with it. So Mac acting as a host OS, let's say if they want to install Windows in Mac, okay, then obviously they'll go with either VirtualBox, or Mac has its own native support. They have their own mechanism. That's also hypervisor. And then install your virtual machine on top of it. And each virtual machine will have its own operating system that's different from that could be completely different from your host OS. Make sense? So what we will be doing here is that, okay, this is why I wanted to call the term multi-tenant. Please use it. Please understand the term multi-tenant. Okay, this is like your big apartment complex. It's a one single CPU here, big apartment complex. By installing the hypervisor here, we have a multiple apartments. Okay, we have segregated into multiple apartments, and each one has their own. See, under the hood, there may be a gas line could be same. Gas line is provided by the same infrastructure, and your plumbing could be provided by the same infrastructure, but you have your own appliances, you have your own AC unit, everything is different here. So what we will be doing right now is we will be provisioning one virtual machine. When we provision one virtual machine, we will be definitely sharing with the physical hardware here is shared by other people also. I want you to know that. So we will be provisioning a simple virtual machine. All we need is one vCPU, one virtual CPU. That's all we need. We will take that, and then we will use a simple Amazon's own Linux operating system called Amazon Linux. So we will do that. And then we will install Apache on top of it and then test it. And then we actually try to log in. From our local machines, let's try to log into this virtual machine and then see if we're able to ESSH into it. Secured shell. How many of you, let me ask a question differently. Any of you have not logged into a Linux machine before here? Okay.
Me.
Who is that?
Kasi.
Kasi, you have not logged into a Linux machine? No, I'm sure you did. I mean, I happen to know you. So you are logged into this one from your machine, from your own machine. You are logged into this, right? Your remote virtual machine.
Yeah.
Right. So from your machine, you will be logging into this remote virtual machine. So
okay.
How did you do that? If your Windows operating system, if you have a Windows, you will be using one of these secured shell clients like putty. So you must be using putty.
Yes.
If there is anyone that's not familiar with putty, I'll go over that. Not a big deal. But we would need putty to log into it. For Mac people, SH client is already installed. Go to their terminal and then log into this virtual machine. That's what we will be doing it. So without delay, let's go ahead and provision this virtual machine. When I provision it, the first question that I need to answer is what region? So within the region, maybe you don't care about availability zones because all the data centers are same for you. Yeah, makes sense. If you don't pick up availability zone, it will automatically pick an availability zone. So when you provision, the question that you wanted to answer is, how many CPUs do you need it? What kind of operating system you need it? Okay. And how much hard drive do you want to attach to? How much hard drive do you want to attach to? And of course, what availability zone? If you don't care, then default will be selected. And what kind of a stop behavior? Meaning when you stop this virtual machine, do you want that to be completely terminated or you want that to be stopped? Meaning if you are stopped, a stopped instance will not be, you will not be charged for a stopped instance. But a stopped instance, when you start again, the beauty is your instance is available to you. But if it's terminated, your machine is completely gone, your data is gone, everything is gone, you have to re-provision again. So we'll talk about that, all of that. So let's jump into that, guys. Without delay, let's get into enough talking. Let's provision a virtual machine. Yeah. So this is my goal, provision a virtual machine. Let's SSH into this new machine, install Apache, and access the home page from browser. That's all. It's pretty straightforward. So I'm assuming all of you have signed up to the free account.
Yes, I have now.
Excellent. So this is the website you want to go to, aws.amazon.com. Okay. And click on sign into the console. This is, I'm already signed in. And let me show you probably. Let me sign out. When I click on sign in, it will ask me. So here, select the root user. So what exactly is a root user? Well, root user is the one that you have signed up with using your email ID. This is my email ID I just created for this particular batch. So, and it is not advisable to use the root user, because root user can do everything. You can provision everything, you can destroy everything. So please do not do it. But once you are logged in, go to a separate section called Identity and Access Management. We'll talk about that. You create a new user there and try to use that particular user, and then only give certain access to that particular user. Does that make sense? But for our training perspective, I'll be using the root user. So I'll use the root user and give the password. So once you are logged in, this is how you will see it based on any of the recent services that you may have used from other accounts. And please take a look at this one, guys. Once you are logged in, see here, Ohio is my region. Okay, please check whatever the region it is. And this is my account name. I put it as Venkat3 at next step. Okay, I just, but you can give a personal, like, personal account, professional account, or office account, whatever you can do it. Make sense? Now, we are planning to provision a virtual machine. Virtual machine comes under computing, right? So go to services. And now here in the compute section, there are multiple services out there. And this is the service that we will be utilizing, EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. There are two C's in that. That's why they call it C2. Elastic Compute Cloud. This is a computing resource. Make sense? So here, I do not have any running instances, meaning I do not have any virtual machines installed. And these virtual machines are called, in the EC2 term, these are called EC2 instances. When we say EC2 instance, then we are talking about a virtual machine that you have provisioned. Let's go ahead and launch a new EC2 instance. Click on this button, launch instance. And where is that going to be launched? Within Ohio region. Please make sure your region, you understand this region here. Okay. And now you have multiple options here. What do you want to do? Well, please always select this free tier only. I know you have signed up for free tier. Most of the services are, maybe I shouldn't say most of the services. A lot of services are free for one year. And within this 5 weeks period, I will make sure you will not be charged. Even if you are charged, talk to me. I'll give you some tips. We can contact AWS customer service and they will refund you back because they love developers. If we say that I'm a developer, I'm playing with it to see if I want to explore it for my company, they will give you full refund. They actually gave me $300 also in the past, when I was not looking at my credit card. So anyways, the point is, so what do you want to do? What kind of operating system do you want to pick up? Is it Amazon Linux 2 is one operating system? Or do you want to Red Hat Linux, Red Hat Enterprise Linux? This is Amazon Linux 1. This is SUSE Linux, Ubuntu, and you can also do a Windows server here, Microsoft Windows Server 2019 base. You can do it, okay? And now out of this, not everyone is free. So I'll select this one, and then these are all free tier eligible. So I will pick Amazon Linux 2 AM.
Okay, I got a question at this point.
1 second. Give me 1 second, Sean. Sure. So what is AMI? I'll talk about this later. It stands for Amazon Machine Image. But at this point, understand that this is a operating system. Right? Amazon Linux 2 is an operating system. Select this one here. And then it's a 64-bit architecture. I'm going to select this one. This is the, using this as a base, I'm going to provision a new operating system. Sorry, new virtual machine with this kind of operating system. Go ahead and ask your question, Sean.
Yeah, actually, see, I'm just guessing that Amazon Linux 2 is just a flavor of Linux, right?
You got it. It's a Linux one. It's just Amazon flavor, like how you have Red Hat flavor, SUSE flavor now, Ubuntu, right?
Thanks.
Yep. I'm clicking on select. And then, so here, guys, take a look at this one. There are multiple instance types, multiple family. What are you doing? Are you doing a general purpose virtual machine, or do you want a CPU intensive virtual machine? Okay, then you can get CPU intensive. Okay, and compute optimized. See this one? This compute optimized is CPU intensive. Or you are looking for a GPU intensive, graphics intensive, or you're looking for a memory intensive. These are all the types that you have it. Okay, storage optimized. So I'm going for the general purpose, and then type is T2.micro. So this micro means it's a T. These are all different instance types. You have a T type, you have R type, you have M types. T is a general purpose. Okay. In fact, M is also general purpose. R stands for RAM intensive, and C stands for compute, etc. Okay. So let's pick up a general purpose, the default one, T2 micro. This is a free tier eligible. And look at this vCPUs. How many virtual CPUs in our virtual machine? 1 virtual CPUs and 1 gig RAM. So we are provisioning a new computer in the cloud, new server in the cloud that has 1 virtual CPUs and 1 gig RAM. And of course, with Amazon Linux 2 installed on it as an operating system, and instant store, meaning what kind of a hard disk do you want to attach it? EBS stands for Elastic Block Store. We'll be talking more about it, but essentially, this is the Elastic Block Store. You'll be what kind of a hard disk are you planning on attaching it? Next, configure instance details. And this is where we will go slowly, but for now, I will go over some of them. How many instances do you need? I just want 1 to start with. Now, network. So within I understand within Ohio region, first of all, where do you want to, which availability zone do you want to put it? That is in the subnet section. Open here, see here. How do I know that there are 3 availability zones within Ohio? In the subnet section. We will talk in depth about it when we talk about virtual private cloud, VPC, the most important chapter. So see here, this US East 2 is the region name for Ohio. 2A is availability zone, 1 data center. This is another data center. This is another data center. Do you have any preference? Maybe I'll go with 2A for now. Okay. Or you can even say no preference. It will automatically pick one. And then this network VPC, let's go with the default VPC. It's a big topic by itself. I'll not be able to explain right now. So when you get your virtual machine, do you want a public IP for that? What purpose what are you trying to do with your virtual machine? Are you planning on installing a database there? Are you planning on installing something private? Or are you planning on installing a web server like Apache or Nginx? I'm planning on installing an Apache. So auto assign public IP. I need public IP. So this is enabled anyway. So I get automatically public IP address for this machine. If I disable it, I will not get public IP. So I want to enable it. Subnet setting is also enabled. So placement group, I'll not worry about. I'll not explain this right now. Capacity, I will not explain any of this. The shutdown behavior. So when you stop your instance, do you want to terminate it or do you want to stop it? Well, I want to stop it because when I stop it, I can start it and get all of my instance back without losing my data. Does it make sense? So I want to stop it. And then, do you want to get the stop hibernate behavior? Do you want hibernation? If I pick this one, what happens is, when I enable this hibernation, then I will be able to, when I go to the stop instance, I will have an option called hibernation. With hibernation, the beauty is, it is like your computer sleep mode. So let's say I have an Apache running. If I put my system in a hibernation mode, from hibernation to start, when I do it, okay, my Apache will still be running because the RAM, whatever is there in all the running process in the RAM, it will take a snapshot and put it aside. And when you start your instance, it will start exactly like that. Like your computer sleep, right? When you put your sleep mode, you are not shutting down, right? If your word is running, when you wake up your computer from sleep, then your word will still be running. That's what this means. I don't need hibernation for now, but later you'll do homework on this one. Enable termination protection. If I select this one, what happens is you will not be able to terminate this instance until this is unchecked. It's an additional security. Monitoring. So we'll talk about monitoring in one of the classes. I'll not talk about it. So this is tenancy. So I've been using this term multi-tenant, multi-tenancy. So do you want a virtual machine as a shared instance, or do you want a dedicated instance, or do you want a complete physical machine itself as a dedicated host? It will cost a lot of money. So please don't pick any of the dedicated instance or physical machines. You just need a shared instance, okay? And your free tier will cover this one. Don't worry about all of this one. Will not worry about this one also for now. I'll get back to this one. So next, so essentially what we did here is that within the region, if you want any availability zone preference, that will be in the subnet. Okay. And what else did we change? I think we did not change anything pretty much. In fact, you don't even have to touch this one for the first couple of classes or first class. Okay. Click on add storage. And now this is the hard disk, guys. So hard disks are called volumes. Okay. So by default, a root volume will be attached to your compute. To your virtual machine, a root volume will be attached. So it's 8 gig size and it's a general purpose SSD. If you want magnetic one, you can go for that, or provision IOPS. Provision IOPS is a super fast read write, but all I need is general purpose SSD. I don't need fancy. Delete on termination, meaning if I terminate the instance, do you want my hard disk to be deleted? That's what it is. You can select it. If you select it, the attached hard disk will be automatically deleted. And this is a root device volume. What exactly does it mean? Well, this is where your operating system gets installed. Your Linux, Amazon Linux operating system that we selected in step 1, that will be installed on this root device volume. In addition to this, you can add you can attach an additional volume also. Meaning you can attach an additional hard disks, as many hard disks as you want for your computer. You can do that. We will talk about that on a separate, separate subject.
Okay,
separate
I got
class.
a question here.
Absolutely.
So if you have attached something, then if you give a df command, it will show you 2 volumes, right? That's
exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Not immediately. Not as soon as I attach it. If you do a df command, df-h or something, it will not show you immediately. What you need to do is you have to format that and then mount it. You'll have to do a little bit. See this one. I'll share this with you later. This is part of the class. Later we will talk about it in one of the classes. Yeah. You'll have to.
That means I have to do some amount of system administration that
Yep.
anybody would have done in the Linux, like MKFS. And,
Yep. The
system.
reason is it's a block store, Shovan. It's a block store. You can format it however you like before you mount it. Make sense? So it's in a raw format. When you attach new volume, new hard disk is in a raw format. You have to format that, right? Okay,
I see. Since you brought up the issue of formatting and block storage, actually, I'm just digressing a little bit. Is it possible to keep it as uncooked? That means, see, for Oracle ASM, there's something called ASM where, they put the uncooked file system over there, which you cannot see it with DF. And so is it also possible to choose that kind of thing?
How will you be able to write then?
Yeah, Oracle does that. See, the Oracle has a provision for, there's something called ASM, so you can look it up. And what it does is mainly for rack and all those kinds of things.
I see.
They put that over there. Its operating system cannot see it. With ls-l kind of commands, you won't be able to see it.
Gotcha. I have to look that up, buddy.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense, guys? So this is a storage. And then, because I don't want to say yes or no without knowing, okay? I don't want to give you wrong information. So rather I'll say I don't know. So this is the storage. Now click on add tags. Now tags are essentially labels to your virtual machines. Let's say you have 20 EC2 instances at some point, and one of them is a web server, a couple of them are DB servers, a couple of them are Tomcat servers. You need to know what it is, right? So I'll add what's your label name and label value. That's all it is. I'll give a name, right? Name, I'll say web server 1. Yeah, because my idea is to install web server here in this virtual machine. Next is configure security groups. I'll talk about security group in the next class in detail, but essentially, you need high level understanding of what security group is. Security group is a virtual firewall. Security group is a virtual firewall. Do you want to create a new security group or select an existing security group? Let's say we'll create a new security group and just say that this is my web server security group. Yeah. So by default, if I take this guy out, right, then I will not be able to install, I will not be able to SSH into my virtual machine. So I have a virtual machine running fine in cloud, but I'll not be able to log in. Understood? So this is a rule. This security group is a virtual firewall that allows traffic into your virtual machines. So what we are saying here is that SSH port 22 SSH, please allow it traffic to anyone. When you say o.o.o.o/o, we will talk about the CIDR blocks and what's the CIDR notation and all in VPC. But essentially, if you give all the zeros here, then that means I'm opening to the public. I'm opening to the entire world. Anyone can log into this one using my SSH client like putty. Anyone is not clear. So if I change, but I don't want to give it to the public, I want to say my IP, and it automatically fetches my public IP address. If you go to what is my IP, right? So my IP is this one. Come on. Okay, 69.14.25.122, right? See that same IP, it automatically fetched. What is that? 69.14.25.122. So now I'm allowing SSH traffic only from my IP, meaning only I will be able to log into this machine. Okay, and that's how I want it to be. And later on, we will add more. I will come back to this, but the security group name is web servers. The security group is nothing but a virtual firewall. That's all it is. Click on review and launch. I'll review one more time, make sure you are good. Yep, it's okay. Let's go and launch. Now, when you launch, what do you want to do? When you launch, a new computer in the cloud will be installed, a new server, a virtual machine will be installed in cloud. Okay, how do you want to log in? Well, we just opened port 22 to everyone. That's how you log into your Linux machines, right? So if it's Windows machine, by the way, they use RDP protocol, remote desktop protocol. But for Linux machines or any of the Linux or Unix machines, you'll use SSH, right? Port 22. Anyways, the point is, all the Linux machines, they use one of two kinds of security to log in, either password-based authentication or public/private key pair-based authentication. And Amazon supports only one, that is key pair-based authentication. So what it is asking is, right now, do you have a key pair? Or let's say I'm asking it to create a new key pair. I will give a name, okay? So what it does is it will generate the public and private key pair, and it is going to give you the private key. It is going to give you the private key, and you keep the private key securely in your machine. And what it will do is it will put the private key on the newly provisioned virtual machine, so that now you will be able to log into that virtual machine using your private key. Does that make sense? I will call this key pair name. You can name anything, but I will call it as Batch-3. Yeah. And then once I give the name, please click on this download key pair, because this is the only time you'll be able to do it. After that, you can do it. And take a look at this one. This is your private key. This whole thing is the private key. Now, when you log in using from your Mac terminal or from Windows, when you do it in Windows, how do you do that? You use a SSH client like putty. You have to give your private key to that. It is not a password-based authentication. It is a key pair-based authentication, and Amazon supports only that. launch instance. I downloaded key pair and let's go ahead and launch the instance. And now the new server will be, is getting provisioned now. See that? It's happening right now. This is the web server 1. We gave the name, remember? We gave the tag. Tag name is name and value is web server 1. And let's go take a look at a couple of items here, guys. See this one, public DNS name. This is your public DNS name. This is your computer name. You will be able to SSH into this one from anywhere in the world. This is publicly available DNS name. And this is your public IP address of your machine. This is your public IP address. Okay, let's go ahead and log in. Okay, from Mac, guys, you can use from terminal. I can help you separately with the command, but with Windows, you need putty. I'm assuming all of you have putty. If not, then I can help you install. So putty is an SSH client. Okay, go to putty. So here you have to give the host name or IP address. So this is we are trying to log into the newly provisioned machine. This is your IP address, right? Okay. And then the host name, you have to use the username. Username is always EC2-user. Username @ and your either DNS name, you can give this long DNS name. See here, when you mouse over, it is giving you this guy, copy to clipboard. You can copy it and paste it here, or you can use the public IP. You can use either of them. You can use the DNS name or IP address. Port is 22. And now we just got the private key, right? Where do I give my private key? Oh, by the way, this private key is in my download sections. See here, it's this Batch-3 private key is in this format called PEM file, PEM format. So putty does not accept PEM format. We need to convert PEM format into something that putty can understand. Putty understands or recognizes only PPK file format only. So we need to convert from PEM file into PPK file. Make sense? PEM format into PPK. For Mac people, you do not have to convert it because you can directly give this one PEM file to your terminal command. I'll share that with you in a second. Yeah. So now, how do we convert from PEM file into PPK? There is another putty-based software called PuttyGen. PuttyGen. If you do not have it, I can help you download it. But this is a PuttyGen. You can simply Google how to download PuttyGen and just download it. Okay, it's not a big software. It's a simple exe file. This is how it looks. Putty generator. So here you can use putty generator to generate a public and private key pair, or if you have a PEM file, it will convert that into PPK file. So in my case, I have a private key, but in a different format. So load an existing private key. Let's load and then go to our download section. And then when I click on download section, see here, it is expecting PPK. So go change this to all files and then click on that Batch-3. Yep, it's loaded, successfully imported foreign key. So now it is ready. Now you can, it converted already. Okay, as part of that loading, it converted PEM to PPK. Now you can say save private key. Are you sure you want to save this private key without the passphrase? Yes, you can give the passphrase or just no passphrase is okay too. And then now I'm calling this again. I'll put this guy in the download section. I'll call it Batch-3. Yeah, that's it. Now let's go take a look at it. Download section. I have a Batch-3 in a PEM format and I have a Batch-3 in PPK format. This is what you needed. So now once you have a PPK file, go to connection, SSH, authentication, auth here, and then see here, private key file for authentication, browse, and then go to your download section. That's where we are. See this batch-3. This is a PPK file. That's it. And then go to session again. Make sure you have your username must be always EC2-user. And then click on open. First time, every Linux machine, it will ask you, are you sure you want to trust this guy? Yes. Just say yes. That's it. You're logged into your newly created virtual machine using putty. That's it. Make sense? Let me pause here for a minute and then see if you guys have any questions.
Okay, I'll just quickly, I've forgotten a little bit of this process. I've done it so many times, but recently not so much. So what you did was you first went to AWS, and then you created that putty, right? I'm sorry, that PIM file. Okay, that PIM file, and then you converted it to putty-gen, and then you just with your
putty-gen is a tool that is used to convert a PIM file into PPK.
PPK, and then that's what you used.
How did you get the PIM file? As part of your, you can do it separately also. Okay, you can do it separately also, meaning go to services, EC2, and see here, key pairs here. You can generate a new key pair also, and you can start your journey by starting the key pair. Before you actually try to provision your EC2, you can create a new key pair. You can give here, and then beauty here is that when you create a new key pair, the beauty is you can select either PIM or directly PPK. In fact, this is even better. Understood? So let's say this is my batch 3.2. Yeah, something like that. Okay. So just to be named to be different, right? PPK, and create a key pair, and then it gave me directly PPK. But I will not be able to log in to my newly created virtual machine using this one. Why? Because
that doesn't have it.
Because exactly, only batch-3's public key is put into that virtual machine as part of our creation. We mentioned, right? Make sense?
Yeah. So at the time of creating, you identified the batch-3 or batch-3.2, whatever it is.
Right. You can say at that time, what I said is, please create a new key pair, but you can start your journey with, probably you guys do that way. Start your journey by creating a new key pair, and then go to EC2 and then start provisioning new virtual machine. And at that time, it will ask you, do you have a key pair that you want to use, or do you want me to create a new one? Select the existing one. That's it. You're all set. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'll delete this guy.
So it puts it in its own system folders. It puts one component, one counterpart in its own system folders, and one part you are loading in your putty, and they are matching up, right?
So the way key pair based authentication works is, in a key pair you have a pair. You have a public key and private key. So you will always keep the private key, and this public key, you will put it into that machine in a special location. I can show you that. So this is our newly created server in cloud, right, guys? This is our newly created virtual machine, right? So here, this is where you are, the EC2 user. So ls-la, do it. See here, there is a folder it created called .ssh. Go there, and then look at authorized keys. See this one? This is the public portion of it. So Amazon did it automatically. So it kept the public portion of the key here, and it gave you the private portion. So as part of authentication, if you give your private key to putty, as part of your handshake, they both will be matched. And then see, if they are matched, then it will let you in. Otherwise, it will not let you in. Is that fair?
Yeah.
So this is our newly machine This is our machine, guys. This is our server. Okay. Now what we will do is, let's use some simple Linux commands. So this is a operating system. Let's update the operating system, meaning for any security patches or any of that. Okay. So the way you want to do it is, it uses Amazon Linux operating system, right? They use this package manager called YUM. This is a package manager. You might be familiar with other Linux ones, right? These guys use YUM. YUM install. No, actually YUM update. YUM update. I'm trying to update my security patches. Okay, I'm trying to update my operating system. So it actually failed because it's saying that you need to be a root user to perform this YUM update, right? So what you do is start with sudo. So sudo, 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 meaning you are doing this command as a super user, as a root. Now, it is asking you, oh, it found these many things are changed in the operating system, in the security, okay? And is this okay? Yes, click Y and then enter. So what did I do? I provisioned a new virtual machine, and then I'm now updating my operating system for security patches or any of other stuff, right? Before I try to do anything, this is a good idea to update your operating system for any security patches. You do the same thing, right? With your Microsoft Windows also. So it's happening right now. And after this, what we will do is we will install Apache web server. Apache is a web server. If you guys are not familiar with it, it's a web server. It will serve people with HTTP traffic. When you make a call, like your Amazon.com or any of that, 99% of the times, no, that's probably bad, but good 80% or 70% of the web, actually you have Apache as your web server. I mean, of course you have Nginx, we have IIS and other web servers too, but Apache is one of the most popular ones. Okay, my operating system patch has been complete, and now I cleared it. Now let's install Apache. How do we do that? Again, sudo yum install, and Apache is called HTTPD. Apache goes by the name HTTPD because it's a HTTP server. It is asking, are you sure you want to do it? Yes, please do it. Okay, my Apache is complete, guys. Apache is installed. So Apache is installed now, but it's not started. I want to start Apache as a service. I will say sudo service HTTPD start. Okay, what am I doing here? I'm doing a HTTPD service. I'm starting this guy, that's all. Okay, it is starting now. So how do we know if Apache is running or not? Well, you can use some simple process commands, PS commands, ps-ef, grep, pipe grep HTTPD, meaning I'm checking here, give me all the process is what it's saying. I'm saying, give me all the process in this format. And then I'm piping another command here, give me filter only for HTTPD. See here, my HTTPD is running fine. So my Apache, I have not only installed Apache, I have started also. Make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Now, so what good does it do if Apache, so why would anyone use Apache? Do you guys know? Apache is a web server to serve web traffic, right? If you want to go to, let's say, index.html homepage, then I should be able to go. I'll make a call, Amazon.com. It will give me back a HTML page, right? Does it make sense, guys? So what I want to do is, Apache by default, it looks for all the HTML files in a specific location. That is, they call it document root. I mean, you can configure it, but I'm not going there. By default, it expects in var www HTML. You can configure this in HTTPD conf. You can change that easily. Okay, this one is, they call it document root. So here, what I will do is, and you guys also know that for Apache, home page is index.html. If you put index.html, if you write simple index.html, okay, that will be your home page. So if you are familiar with VI, you can use VI, guys. If you're not familiar, then use a simple editor called Nano index.html. Okay, I'm more familiar with VI. I like to use VI, but you can use this one also. This is a simple one. So here, all I'm saying is H1. I'll say, welcome to my newly created virtual machine, something like that. That's it. And now, after that, what you do is Control X. See here, it says exit, Control X. And then it asks you, are you sure you want to save it? Then press Y. And then just enter. Sorry, Control X, Y, and enter. Oh, error. Oh, okay. Because it's a permission denied, because I did not use as root. So what I have to do is I have to go back, Control X, and then I'll say no. So put a sudo here, sudo, sudo nano index.html, and now write the command, write the H1. Welcome to my first.
Did you try to write into a root owned directory?
Yep, I tried doing that. That's why it failed. So I'm doing a Control X, Y, and enter. That's it. I'm done. It's a root owned. That's why.
Okay.
Now take a look at index.html. So this is my index.html. You can do a less or cat commands. You can do cat index.html. So this is this one, guys. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is what will be displayed if I try going into my machine. Now I have, let's go to service EC2 section here, and then go to running instances, and my virtual machine is running nicely here, and get the public IP address. Okay. This is my public IP. Now from browser, I will try going into this one, http:// and then I'll give this IP address and then try going into it. Since port is 80, the default HTTP port is 80, it should be hitting Apache. My request should have gone to Apache, and Apache would have, because I'm asking it to go to home page, it would have served me with index.html content, but it is not working. Why? The site can't be reached. Why? Let's make sure my Apache is running. Of course it's running. We just verified it. But why is it not working? Any guesses?
Issues?
Absolutely.
Would there be firewall issues?
Absolutely.
I'm just making a wild guess.
That's the correct guess. So this web server one, remember we talked about a concept called security group here. Mm-hmm. So go to security group here. See here, this is attached a security group called web servers. So let's go to web server security group, and let's observe the rules here. There is only one rule. Let's go to the inbound details, and let's go to inbound rules. Okay, guys, take a look at it. There is only one rule here. Port 22 should be open to this IP address. That's all it is. So port 80,
there, right?
port 8, exactly. Port 22 will be used to SSH. So that is why we are able to SSH into that machine. All fine. But now I'm trying to make a HTTP call on port 80, and it's blocked because port 80 is not allowed. Make sense?
Yeah.
Are you able to appreciate it?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you going to change it? Yeah, I was thinking that.
Edit inbound rules and then add a new rule. And then you can change, you can add HTTP here. So click on HTTP and the default port is 80. And then who do you want to allow this? Do you want to, this is a port 80. Port 80, it's a web server port, right? You want to allow it to the entire world, anyone. So that all of you can access my website, because I want all of you to access my website. That's my intention. So I'll go ahead and save the rules. That's it. And after you save the role, it doesn't take a reboot or any of that. It magically, it instantaneously works. After you update your security group, it instantaneously works. It went into that. And if you want to go to a, /index.html, because that's your home page, you got it. And now let's create one more sudo vi, let's say venkat.html. I'm more familiar with vi.
VI is a much better editor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little familiar, so it's I'm all right with VI. So if I go to venkat.html, it just takes me there. This is Venkat. This is my website, guys, and my home page is this one. And now I can apply my CSS images, all of that, and into this one. This is my home page, website. Beautiful, all good. Does that make sense?
Venkat, could you show me how to generate the key putty gen? And
absolutely, we'll do that. We'll do that. So I will pause here. No, in fact, I will stop here. Okay. Now let's make sure my objective is not to teach, right? Yeah, my objective is to make sure you get it. So I will make sure you all get that. So go ahead. Is it Manohar who asked that question, or
Pradyumna?
Pradyumna, tell me. So what do you want?
Yeah, I have the putty and putty gen.
Very good.
So I would like to generate the key.
You want to generate the key, right?
Yeah.
There are two ways. One is, first you can go to, probably this may be the easier one. So what you do is go to EC2, services EC2, and then go to key pairs. Probably you don't have any key pairs there. And by the way, Pradyumna, did you provision EC2 instance? Not yet, right? Nobody did it.
I created, web server one, same as.
Oh, excellent. So you already created it. But at the time of creation, what did you select your key pair as?
Key pairs, same Pradyumna, whatever the one that you.
Okay. And did you download the PM file?
Yeah, I downloaded. Yeah.
Wonderful. So you have the PM file.
Right.
Now it's just matter of converting it. Very good. That's very simple. So open your putty gen.
Yeah. Okay.
And then here, load an existing private key. Click on load, and then select your PEM file here. Click on this PEM file. Click on open, and then now click on save private key. And when you save it, your stuff is saved. Give a name. That's your PPK file, and that's what you will use to log in from putty. Makes sense.
Each time you generate PPK, from the same PEM file, will it generate different ones or will it generate the same ones? Same one, right? Same one.
It's your same file. You're translating from one format to another format. Okay. That's all. It's that simple.
Okay. I have a question too.
Mm-hmm.
That is, see, right after creating the server, you did sudo yum update.
Yep.
Was that for just updating the OS, the basic OS update?
That's correct. Okay. Go to AWS training, guys, here. Go to my website, next step training, and then AWS training, Unix commands here. See here, to log into Amazon EC2 from Mac terminal. Oh, Mac people, this is what you need to do. But before you do that, you'll have to make sure your PEM file has the appropriate permissions. Meaning the first command you guys want to do it once you download your PEM file, right, go to that folder and then say chmod 400 your PEM file, let's say, test.pem, right? Just example, I'm just saying. So make sure you are reducing the privileges. Your privileges of your PEM file must always be 400 only. Otherwise, it will not work. And you always want your PEM file to be not read, not be writable by anyone else. Okay. So all of your Unix commands are here, guys. And now I'm going to stop it and help each of you and make sure you're all able to do it. Let me pause recording. So now I can go to individually.
Excuse